Well, hi, it's Deb and Gino from mywiredstyle.com. I wanted to talk a little bit today about the D-wired personality styles, because sometimes it's the D-wired personality styles that get our attention, and usually not in such a great way. Here's the reason why. D-wired people, if you are either working with someone or living with someone, in your family, who is very de-wired, it's really easy to recognize them in so many ways. Typically, their behavior at the extreme level, and again, if they've learned to moderate their personality style and really use it in a really important and effective way, then these extremes are not going to show up. But if you have somebody who you work for, or you work with, or you live with, who is very opinionated, wants to take control of everything, wants to make sure that they're the one in the driver's seat when you're driving to Aunt Tilly's house for dinner. Somebody who decides for you maybe what you'll have for dinner that night. Maybe it's someone who plans all the vacations and doesn't really ask your opinion. Maybe it's a boss who is just so focused in on what the group, and especially he or she, need to accomplish, rather than how are you and how can they help you and how can they serve you and how can they cut through some red tape for you. That's very typical de-wired style behavior, again, at the extreme level. But here's the other thing with people that are very de-wired. When they learn to moderate their wiring, they become the most inspiring people to work for, because here's why. Their leadership skills are very strong and they're very natural. They don't have to really work hard to try to be a leader. So they understand the importance of making sure that their team is happy, that their team is focused, that their team has all of the equipment or supplies or support that they need to get a job done. In a spouse or in a partner in life, what you'll find is, somebody who's very de-wired, when they're really using their wiring the right way, you can come to them and say, hey, I'm really struggling with this decision, and what do you think I should do? And they're, smart enough to know that while they could make the decision for you, that that's not the right thing to do. Instead, they'll help you to learn coping skills on how you can make that decision really well. So you might say, well, why are you telling me all this? Why do I care if I have somebody who's de-wired in my life? Well, the reason is I think it's important for us to start to recognize how some of the people in our lives and in our careers and in our businesses and in our client base and in our children, how they're really wired, because that's where understanding begins. And as you know, in a lot of our material, and you can listen to our past podcasts, we have a lot of really great stuff on how you can communicate really effectively with the different wired styles. So I want to make sure that we start to dissect each of them and give you guys and gals a chance to take a look around your world, look at how some of those people are wired, and learn ways to really navigate through their personality along with yours in a much more effective and pleasant way. So I hope this. Okay, so now we're here to talk about the I-wired personality styles. Now, I-wired people, when taken to the extreme, if their behavior, their natural personality wiring maybe is not sort of in line, what you'll find is they're talking really, really loud, really fast, very energetic, in your face, but not in an aggressive way, just in a fun way, and almost kind of like you really can't get a word in edgewise no matter how hard you try, and even if you go, they're going to keep talking. Sometimes they'll physically hold on to you when they're talking. That's very typical I-wired behavior in the extreme. They love bright colors. They love situations where there are a lot of people. They love activity. They love to have a lot of stimulation around them at all times. But here's the other thing about I-wired people. They're some of the most amazing people-focused people you'll ever meet. They really want to have a good time. They connect with people instantly. If you've ever been on a line somewhere at a store or at a concert or show or a church and you meet somebody new, and instantly they become your best friend, it's probably an I-wired person, more than likely, especially if they're very outgoing and very gregarious. So I-wired people have this natural gift, this natural ability to bring fun into our lives, to really bring a whole nother dimension of communication that for some of us, we wouldn't have done quite naturally at all. But I-wired people are so excellent at doing that a lot of us could learn a little bit from them. Now again, in the extreme, what happens is they are woohoo, having a great time, and sort of the world could be crashing down around them. Well, sometimes that's a really healthy attitude to have, but also sometimes you need some reality intrusion to make sure that we're taking the right thing seriously at the right time in the right way. And when you have somebody who's eye wired in your life and you can learn to connect with them at that people level, at that connection point level, you are going to find that these are the types of people when you're sort of planning a get together, they're going to be the first ones on your list because they're so much fun to be with. They're the type of people that you just want to engage with over and over and over again. So if you have somebody who's eye wired in your life, and especially if it's your child, oh my goodness, please stop telling them to start being more serious. They can't be. I mean, really, they can't be. They can try to fool you for a while, but it's not going to happen. They are so loving. Their hearts are just so full of being able to connect with people, and they can inspire other people through their enthusiasm. The best thing we can do if there's somebody who's eye wired in our lives is to really encourage them to use that strength and use it really well so that this way they benefit and so do we. Hope this has been helpful to you. So now let's talk about the S personality style. I love the S personality style because they're so laid back, so reserved. But again, and the extreme, sometimes if it's somebody in your household, you may think, or even at work, even worse, they walk too slow, they're a little lazy, how come they're not moving quicker, how come they're not getting things done faster, how come they keep asking me a million questions about how to get something done, I've already told them. Here's the thing with S-wired people, they're so supportive, so naturally steadfast in what they do, that even whether it's your child and you're trying to have them make their bed, or whether it's somebody at work that you're trying to partner with, or a client that you're working with in your own business, with S-wired people, they want to be appreciated and they want to support us, all of us, really, really well. So they'll ask questions to make sure they're constantly aligned with what our expectation is so that they can meet it. Now, one of the challenges is S-wired people do not like change. It's really a difficult thing for them to acclimate to. Sure, they can get past it, but it takes a little bit of time. So what's really important is if you have somebody who is S-wired in your life, make sure that you take the time to move changes into their lives a little slowly and give them a little bit longer time to acclimate to them, get used to them, and to ultimately accept them. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen. Finally, with S-wired people, one of the most amazing gifts you can give them is to acknowledge how much they've done, acknowledge how hard they've worked, acknowledge how important they are to you. So now let's talk about the C-wired personality style. I love the C-wired people because they have this natural gift of creating logical order and looking and finding patterns in information. They're very data driven. They love to learn. They love to use what they've learned, but in capacities that really allow them to hit it out of the park and do things really well and really perfectly. So in control, those strengths are really important. Here's what happens. Out of control, those strengths, that need for perfection, can really do a couple of things. Number one, they can come off as being very critical when they don't really mean to, but they easily see the exception. They easily see a mistake. They easily see what needs to be changed. So therefore, they easily say it. And sometimes for those of us who are on the other side of them, we're thinking, wow, when are they going to throw me a compliment? Or when are they going to just say something nice? What happens is they recognize exceptions. So if you look nice 98% of the time, they're going to not say anything. But the 2% of the time when, well, like my problem today with my bags under my eyes, somebody who's very C-wired may say, are you sick? You just have to love them and accept them for who they are. They don't mean to be mean. They're not being mean. They're just recognizing the exception. The other thing with people who are very C-wired is this, and this is really important if you're building a business, is that analysis paralysis is absolutely a C-wired disease because most C-wired people really want to be sure that things are perfect before they launch out, that there's no mistake, that there's no room for error. But that's not how life is. So if you're C-wired, you need to move past that whole analysis paralysis situation where you're constantly analyzing information to make sure that it's perfect before you launch your idea or before you move forward on a new product. Get smart, get savvy, learn how to do some test marketing, learn how to sort of dip your toe in the water before you jump right in, but you gotta get something wet in order to get, cool off and in order to start swimming. So something's gonna have to get wet and you just have to get comfortable with it. And in the beginning, it's gonna feel really crummy and it's not gonna feel exciting to you to think that you may launch something that's imperfect. But you know what? It's going to feel a whole lot better than launching nothing. So keep that in mind. Same thing if you have a child who's very C-wired and they're very driven on perfection and success, and anything less than an A to them is a failure. It's really important as a parent you use some really great lessons of all of these very famous people who have failed their way to success. That failure isn't failure. Lack of trying is failure. When people try things and they don't work the first time, that is merely a stepping stone to their ultimate success. Talk to them about people like Thomas Edison, right? Or Abraham Lincoln. There are some amazing stories out there, people who have really failed and failed miserably and then found their way to success. So, if you're C-wired, remember, back off on the perfection because nothing is perfect. And if you are in a family with somebody who's C-wired, married to somebody who's C-wired, working with somebody who's C-wired, stop expecting them to be your cheerleader because it's just not who they are. But who they are these very deep, thoughtful, intelligent, amazing people who, frankly, if you need something put in order and you need something edited, you need somebody to find the mistake, they're your guy or gal. So, hope this has been helpful to you.